Woo! What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing out there tonight? I know I saw some chats crawling here. All right, I got the chat all set up. Should be able to. I'm gonna watch your comments come in here and address you all right there. How is everybody doing tonight? We got 6 people here. This is a good start. I like this. I should schedule these things out more often. I've kind of like just gotten the hang of like scheduling out on the phone. You can see like we've got a little bit of a different setup today. Audio is probably going to be a little bit different. Just want to make sure, guys, tell me if everything's coming through loud and clear. I'm just using my phone tonight, streaming from the YouTube app, because today, and the last few days actually, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, was just an absolute banger of shooting days. Shot 7 demos. No, 9. Yeah, shot 9 demos over the course of these last 3 days, and that's not even all the ones that I have to do. There's still a lot more to get done, and I'm excited about it, though. It means that stuff is happening. There's going to be some new content coming out. Can finally move away from the NAMM stuff, which I'm kind of excited about doing. We're getting down to the wire with the NAMM stuff, and there will be some really cool stuff coming out, but I just really want to start moving into the meat and potatoes of what this channel is really all about doing for you guys. I'm going to go over here into the chat and see who all has joined me tonight. Ah, what's going on, Ben? How you doing, buddy? Thanks for the compliments on the axe, my Ibanez PGM 301. I've had this thing since college, and I don't know, I was kind of like, I gotta bust this thing out tonight. So we'll play a few more times on that. We got AREN Lee from Albus Band. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Thanks so much for sharing the link tonight. That really means a lot that you went to the initiative to help street team it old school style. So that means a lot. Thank you so much. We got Jay Steen in the house. How you doing, buddy? Hope you're enjoying that new pedal of yours. We got Bubba Brown. Bubba, it is awesome to have you back again. Thanks for joining us last week and joining us again this week. All right, we got Liam Kinney. Hey, Liam, how you doing, buddy? Thanks so much for joining in. I'm glad that you guys are all here. And if you haven't been talking in the chat, please have some good times going on. Please do say hello. I want to know who all out there is watching along and is along for this ride. I do want to address something real quick. We got AREN from Albus Band saying, before it gets busy, me and Ben need to figure out a time for me to jump on a live stream of his. That would be fun. It would be fun. So Ben, let's brainstorm. Let's workshop, as they say in Hollywood, and figure out when we can do something like that. Woo! What you are hearing tonight is this guy going into the Nux Cerberus. I have the cab sim engaged, which is a impulse response of a Friedman. That was actually sent to me by one of you guys, Riley I.O. Acura. He sent me a bunch of different impulse responses to check out, and I've really been enjoying getting into them and figuring some stuff out. We got some more stuff in the chats coming in. Yes, Ben, we will figure something out. Let's talk soon. And Jay, I'm glad you're really enjoying the pedal, man. It's really good stuff. I'm really happy about that. All right. So, rather than just kind of dance around the subject of one of the main things that I want to talk about, pardon me, one side. Gotta open that. This is my new jam right here. Now, I've been a diet soda drinker my entire life, and before you all start proselytizing or whatever you want to say about diet sodas, I do not care. I've been drinking them my whole life, and I feel pretty damn fine. At the moment, though, this has become sort of my new jam. Hey, we got Eric from EVH and Gear TV. How you doing, buddy? Really been loving the Kramer Corner stuff recently, man. That is some great top-notch stuff, man. I have enjoyed that absolutely immensely. Great stuff. Welcome in. I'm happy to have you here. But yeah, this is Virgil's like zero sugar cola. I'm not like plugging this because they're paying me to plug this, because they're not paying me to plug this. I'm just obsessed with this stuff. So, pardon me. It's got like, you know, it's basically better diet soda. Anyway. Whew, that's good stuff. And I got coffee as well. Decaf. Otherwise, I'm up all night. And water. You're going to find that I have a lot of drinks around me whenever I do work and whenever I get stuff done. All right. So, Eric, I really appreciate you joining in for a little bit. That's really awesome of you. I really appreciate that. Let's see what we got. Liam is saying, I'm from Massachusetts. I don't usually get around to streams, but I figured I'd stop by for the beginning part of tonight. Well, I appreciate it, man. I really do appreciate however much you guys are able to watch. I know some of you guys don't want to, you know, you can't always watch the whole thing. It's late on the East Coast, which brings me to something that I want to actually say is that I am considering changing up the time frame of this, especially since, whoa, pardon me, especially since next week I won't be able to do a live stream. I'll actually be up in LA most of the day. My brother and I are going to a concert together, so I'll be spending time with him, and I won't be able to get back home in time for the live stream. The concert's going to go late, so we're going to be skipping next week, but I might play around with the schedule depending on how my workload is and see whether or not I can move it around, and we might even just go ahead and change up the date or the time of these things a little bit, just so that more of you guys can come in and join on the live end, and we can move on from there and whatever. But we're still gonna do it. We got some other comments coming in, and I just want to make sure that I acknowledge you guys before we get into the meat and potatoes of what we're going to be talking about tonight. Which is the assumed rumor and innuendo death of T-Rex Effects and the sudden news that came just this morning about it. Let's see, we got Liam is, yeah, Evan, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you back here. I am 3-fisting tonight on my drinks. None of them alcoholic though. I'm trying to like take some time off of that, get a little healthier, start running again. Liam, I watched the channel, but the live stream is a little late for me, especially being in college and having rehearsals and then homework and then trying to stay up for these. Boy, I hear you, Liam, but I appreciate you being here all the same. Whenever you can watch it, it really is a great pleasure to have you guys around. Ben is asking, who am I seeing? Well, who am I seeing is an interesting question, because it's nobody that anybody I know would know. It's actually a band that I grew up listening to in high school, and they're called Wires on Fire. Now, they were a local LA band that kind of they kind of got a really good following locally on the West Coast. They did a lot of tours, released a couple albums, even made a record produced by a couple former members of Queens of the Stone Age. And their bassist, Michael Schumann, went on to join Queens of the Stone Age. He's their current bassist. But they were a huge influence on me when I was growing up. Kind of like very alternative, post-punky kind of stuff, with some like rootsy kind of bluesy stuff going on there towards the end of their original run. But I was just always so captivated by them because I was always so captivated by them because they were, first off, several members of the band I went to high school with, and they were a few years ahead of me. So it was kind of like being a 14-year-old kid and seeing guys that you knew and you saw on a daily basis, like, hey, these guys are doing it. And when I think about it more and I start talking to people about my influences, the more I realize that, wow, these guys had a lot bigger of an effect on me than I originally thought. So it's the 15th anniversary of their debut EP, which is called Homewrecker. If any of you remember like early aughts internet, may have frequented a website or may have seen it lurking around called Buddyhead Records. They released it on that, and it's the 15th anniversary, and they're reuniting for a one-off gig at the Echo. So I am I'm very excited about that. I get to see them do their thing again and see what this could possibly lead to in the future, because I have a feeling that this might see some new stuff come in from them. And they've already released a couple new singles, which I've enjoyed a lot. So that's who we'll be seeing, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to hang out with my brother. We just haven't really gotten a whole lot of time to hang out together recently. We got some more people joining in. We got Mick Dingus here. What up, Mick Dingus? Ya dingus? How you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining in. All right, so let's kind of get into the reason that I wanted to make this the topic of this whole thing tonight. And that's the T-Rex effects and the news that was starting to come out this year, or over the course of the last couple days. This really was very whirlwind. So on Tuesday, and this is how I found out about it, was through the Guitar Pedals. Oh man, I want to go to Smashing Pumpkins too, Eric. I just had to put that in there. I saw that flash across the screen and I just had to say that. So on Tuesday, through the Guitar Pedals subreddit, I found this article through a post that was like, T-Rex is bankrupt. And what's really unfortunate about this is it's an article that is translated from Dutch. So the English is not the greatest, you know, the context and the syntax of everything is not 100%. So, like, the headline is, even Santana was a customer. Nowadays, the Guillotine Guitar Company has gone bankrupt. That's essentially the translated title. And from the basic gist of the article is that T-Rex Effects declared bankruptcy. The first sentence of the article. T-Rex Effects, whose effects pedals are used by guitarists all over the world, have been declared bankrupt after million deficits in the past financial year. So that is the roughly translated opening line of this article in this Danish newspaper. And it goes on to go into some minor details about things. And they reference an annual report, and I read from the article, in the annual report, the audit warned that there is, quote, significant uncertainty that can raise significant doubts about the company's ability to continue operating. Apparently they've been negotiating and all these other things, and according to the article, the negative equity roughly marks out to 787,000 Danish kroner, I believe is the frequency, or is the currency of Denmark, I believe is what it's called. I'm not going to read too much into this article because it is just roughly translated via Google Translate. But this really caused a firestorm of speculation, and especially going into that thread on the subreddit. Apparently Harley Benton's, or not Harley Benton, Tomon started slashing prices on T-Rex effects. So I don't know exactly if this price reflects necessarily what you could get this for before the announcement, but a T-Rex replica, probably their most famous pedal outside of, you know, the Replicator, once that came out, it's listed right now on Harley Benton for 218 euro, which is not a bad price, even considering euros and all that stuff. But I still am not 100% convinced about what that stuff really means. I mean, it's just, okay, that's one person's, that's one company slashing prices. You know, they're just a retail outlet. So I don't really know what that means. And since I hadn't seen things beforehand, I kind of just have to go off what the person is claiming that Tomon is doing. Now, yesterday, a post was made on T-Rex Effect's Facebook page that says, and I quote, "The rumors of our death are greatly exaggerated." Because, as is wont to happen, when bankruptcy proceedings start, people start going into this whole tizzy of, oh my God, they're going out of business. And that's not what bankruptcy means. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I'll read the statement. T-Rex headquarters, March 6, 2019. In all honesty, 2018 was a year of non-stop business challenges for T-Rex. We felt the tightening of the market through declining sales, and we struggled with higher import duties in the U.S. More significantly, during these tough times, we fought internally over our direction and future instead of pulling together as a team. The staff fractured and ways were parted with longtime partners. T-Rex Engineering went through bankruptcy on February 21st, 2019, and the company was offered for sale. So, why are we so happy today? The old T-Rex is alive and kicking again. The original founders of T-Rex Engineering, Sebastian Jensen and Lars Dahl, have purchased back the brand and will reboot the company with a reduced staff and a commitment to bringing some positive energy into the brand once again. This means that we will continue to deliver some of the best effects pedals, power supplies, and guitar accessories in the world, and we will be able to continue to service the needs of all of you that have been so loyal to our brand during the years. We hope that you will continue to support us. We guarantee that we are stronger and more alive than ever before. All the best, Lars, Sebastian, and the T-Rex team. So, right there from the get-go, and one of the things that I posted when I shared that statement on my personal Facebook is, this is what I mean when I tell you people not to jump to conclusions. Now, I've been involved in the business of music since I was 18 years old, and I've been in gear now for 10 years, and I like to consider myself a businessman of all types. I'm not just a guy who focuses on just music and focuses on gear. I need to pull from the normal business, the normal, you know, suit and tie business world, rather than t-shirt and jeans business world, to understand what it is to be a business person and to succeed in the market these days. So I did a little bit of research on what bankruptcy really is and some of the terminology and some of the practices that go into bankruptcy proceedings. So this comes from thestreet.com, and bankruptcy is summed up by them as a legal process, an option for an individual, family, or corporation who finds themselves unable to pay off their debts. So obviously there's a reason that T-Rex had to go through with that. It means that bankruptcy was basically they had debts, and they weren't making enough money to pay it back due to these challenges that they faced in 2018 rather. And believe me, I have heard a lot of stories about some challenges that a lot of great companies, not just T-Rex, have had. I'm not going to name names because it's not my place to share that information. That's up to the other companies to share with you. But I have heard stories about what it has been, the challenge of doing business over the course of the last couple of years with some of the new regulations that have come in and some of the things with import duties and all sorts of other things. Not to mention, we've seen this with corporations over pretty much since 2008 here in the United States. It doesn't matter how big they are, they're all apparently going to fall. But essentially, bankruptcy is a court proceeding. And the courts will go over what debts you have and what liabilities. But they're also going to take a look at your assets and figure out a way for you to come up with a way to resolve these debts or forgive these debts. Sometimes this can be as much as them taking those assets. So for example, if I were going through bankruptcy court, which I'm not saying I am, if I was to be going through that process, one of the assets would probably be the house that I'm living in right now. And if the court finds that to be something that would resolve some of my debt, then it would be essentially repossessed by my creditors and by my bank, whoever I owe debts to. It could very well go down to the guitars that I have, the amps that I have, the effects, anything else that I have that could potentially hold some value is considered an asset. And so that's essentially what T-Rex had to do. They had debts, and they had to figure out with a court how exactly they were going to solve the debt and resolve the debt with the people that they owed money to. That's all that means. It does not mean in any way that a company is going out of business. In fact, the fact that people are jumping to this kind of conclusion so quickly means that we've forgotten the most recent example of a company that went bankrupt and didn't go out of business. And I'm guessing you guys know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Gibson. Gibson was a company that had significant debts, significant amounts of money owed to creditors and banks that they could not return on. So what had to happen? They had to go to the court and they had to work out with the courts what they could do in order to resolve the debts. Now, one of the good things about the process of going through bankruptcy is that because it is something that a lot of people look into, there's a certain amount of thought that goes into it. And so like we saw with Gibson, we saw the fact that the courts decided that there was value to keeping Gibson alive. And so the courts decided, you know what, this is significant. This is a brand that should be kept around. If it has some new leadership, has some new blood, and it's something that people are going to want to get behind this. So we're going to give them a chance. We're going to give you enough money. We're going to resolve these debts. But part of that resolving of the debt was ownership stake. So that's why we see Henry J pushed out with I think of his original percentage, he's now left with 3% of his original ownership stake. Oh man, that's so good. But he's left with only 3%, and he's only serving as like a consultant. He has very little to do, as far as I've heard, in the overall day-to-day workings of Gibson. He doesn't get to, be the public face anymore, which is probably a good thing. had to do that a little bit. I'm tired of talking so much. So anyway, what I'm trying to get at when I bring this up is that bankruptcy does not equal going out of business. There you go. But at the same time, there can be differences in the way that certain countries do their bankruptcy proceedings. So I decided to do a little bit more digging and found the website 10-law.net. This is the European network of law firms. And I found an article related to bankruptcy in Denmark. And they have 12 bullet points that they outline of what bankruptcy exactly is. So, 1. When are you declared bankrupt? The petition for bankruptcy can be filed, I'm assuming, by a court-appointed liquidator, creditor, or the company itself. Bankruptcy is declared if the debtor has ceased his payment and is not merely temporary. So, there you go. How long does it take to process the petition? What can you do if you disagree with the bankruptcy ordered by the court? Here's an interesting thing. Disagreeing with it. You can appeal to the high courts. It is not necessary to be represented by a lawyer, but it is recommended. The decision will, in general, be made on basis of written. I'm guessing this is translated. What happens if you are declared bankrupt? The court appoints a lawyer as trustee. The trustee takes over control of the bankruptcy estate and the company/debtor loses control of his assets. The trustee will sell the assets and distribute the dividend in accordance with the Bankruptcy Act. The trustee can ask for the mail to be intercepted at the address of the bankrupt and have this forwarded to his office. Any employee will be terminated by the trustee if he or she is not transferred to another company as part of the transfer agreement. So clearly we're getting into corporate bankruptcy and not personal bankruptcy here. We have what kind of obligations do I have as a bankrupt? The bankrupt should provide information to the trustee. How can I monitor the process? How long does the process last? This is a very interesting one. This depends on the individual process, and there are no rules that regulate this at all. The courts can appoint another trustee if the court finds that the trustee acts too slow, but this rarely happens, which is very interesting because in the original article, it said that they filed for bankruptcy. It actually doesn't it was published on March 4th, which was 3 days ago. And they filed bankruptcy, it says in their Facebook post, on February 21st. So boy, does news travel fast these days. But it shows you something very significant, or at least something that I think is fairly significant. It's the 7th of March. They filed for bankruptcy on the 21st of February. It's amazing how quickly it worked. At the same time, what's also amazing is that when we look at all of what we just read over and what we just discussed, is that the assets will be taken by the trustee and they will be sold off or divided. This is really the point where the original team from T-Rex comes in. They pool their funds together. They probably found some investors and they bought back the brand so that they can control it more. And that is what we have seen. We have seen a company that clearly the courts deemed for the country of Denmark was a valuable asset to have for their country and for their country's economy, but was unable to resolve some of their debts. And as such, it was put up for sale. It just so happened that, at least what I'm inferring, is that it just so happened that the people who bought it are also the people who founded it. And I think that that is a good thing. I think that fits along very well with what we are seeing in a lot of business these days. We are focusing on authenticity as a brand. We don't want to see nameless and faceless corporations anymore. We want to see people who can talk to us face to face, like I'm talking to you right now through Time Zones Untold and through the magic of digital technology. The point is, T-Rex is not going away. Yes, T-Rex filed for bankruptcy. Yes, T-Rex was in danger of going away. However, no, T-Rex is coming back, and I think that is very cool. They've made some great stuff over the years, and not to mention they were working on that relaunch of the Benson Echo Rec, which I know I was excited about, and I know many other people who were excited about it. I don't know where that starts, or I don't know where that is going to end up, but the fact that it might live on and we might get a brand new Benson Echo Rec after all is quite exciting. So that's really the meat and potatoes of what I wanted to talk about. Now I'm going to go into the chat since I was talking so much, and I am going to go into what you guys have been talking about. And you guys have had a lot of really great stuff to be said. And boy howdy, McDingus, I love you. McDingus love Mikey Schumann. McDingus, huge Kotza fan. Woo! That's some fun stuff. All right, we got some conversation about tours. Smashing Pumpkins. Yeah, man, you and Junior getting to see Smashing Pumpkins, that will be fun. Slipknot should be fairly fun too. Just don't let him get caught in the mosh. All right. Ben has never owned any T-Rex stuff himself, and neither have I, though I have played it, and I have enjoyed it over the years. Let's see. Oh, we got some people talking about the Shiny and Oh So Bright tour. It looks like Albus went, or maybe I don't know. Oh, that's K-Dog. What up, K-Dog? How you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining in. 2018 tour was incredible. Saw them in Boston. They played almost 3 hours. It was very awesome indeed. But Albus does have a has played the Replicator, their cassette cartridge-based tape delay, which I have played too, and it was very fun indeed. Let's see. EVH and Gear, we got Eric in the house. Just like Gibson, right. And they are doing very well. Maybe even their best is yet to come. And I do agree that, you know, Gibson at NAMM, that was a big indicator of what exactly we can expect from that brand coming in the near future. K-Dog, is first time you're hearing anything about T-Rex. Good, that means that you're probably not having to be on social media as much as I am, which is kind of nice. AREN, I work in finance. Bankruptcy is not the same as going out of business, as we've said, and I'm glad somebody else echoes my thoughts. And we got Eric from EVH and Gear TV saying he agrees, and it's basically just deferring debt. And to work out a deal with your creditors, pennies on the dollar, which is pretty much the good part about it. Let's see. It behooves the financial industry to find ways to keep a business alive. Having the chance to turn a profit and or settle payments while deferring as much is better for them and the economy at large. Which I have to agree, we need, you know, there are certain companies like Gibson that we kind of need to have around. And if we don't have them around, it can be a problem. Because at the end of the day, they're one of the most legendary guitar companies, and we need that. We need people like that. Mick Dingus, he saved Gibson by buying an SG. What SG did you get, Mick Dingus? K-Dog says, McDingus couldn't save the Quebec Nordics. You failed me, man. McDingus isn't good at hockey. McDingus is a rock machine. making bad rock faces on purpose. But I understand losing a hometown hockey team. But I have the Kings, so I'm good. I'm good. Oh, hey, we got Jason McNamara in the house. What's up, buddy? How's things in Tokyo land? What time is it there? I've lost all track of how things go. Okay. From Aaron, I know you got Aljon. I talked to my Gibson rep today, and people are the happiest that he's seen in 12 years. Said Henry cycles through those under him and is considered crazy. There you go. K-Dog says to not believe that article. The Danish are crafty. I don't know how I feel about that statement, but I don't know. McDingus sometimes eats cheese Danishes. So there is that. Awesome. Eric from EVH and Gear is saying some companies go through various forms of bankruptcy multiple times. Sometimes it is forced on them. It all depends on how it comes out. There you go. That's all. That's very true. It can happen. It's not something there. Okay, McDingus has got an SG special. Very nice. I like those SG specials. They're a lot of fun. All right. Did I miss Brian Landreth coming in here? I must have. Man, now I feel bad. What's up, Brian? How you doing, buddy? Aw, there we go. All right. There we go. Brian just woke up. Fantastic. So, let's see. Someone was asking if you were on the road. What are you doing out there on the road, buddy? Let me know. McDingus rocks with mini humbuckers. Awesome. It's 2:35 p.m. in Tokyo right now. Awesome. Yeah, that's good stuff right there. How are things over there in Tokyo, man? We haven't talked in a while. We should probably get on the phone sometime and have one of our crazy time zone crossing conversations. If you haven't checked out Jason's channel, Jason does some really, really cool stuff. Because unlike me, the fact that, you know, I sit in front of a camera and talk about stuff. Whew. He actually knows cameras and knows, you know, arranging them in a way to make something look nice. So if you haven't checked it out, please do. I don't think you'll be displeased. He's got a lot of great stuff on there. I actually just recently went back to his GitCon stuff from when we first met, and excuse me, when he was unboxing all the Ibanez guitars that we had there. I need to relearn that solo. Bam. I'm gonna switch up guitars now. I'm feeling a little frosty. Excuse me one second. Yeah. Let's go ahead and do that. But yeah, I went back to Jason's video unboxing all the guitars that we had there. And I think the thing that is so amazing about Jason when it comes to Ibanez is how much knowledge he has about that brand. He knows more about Ibanez than I think any human really should. Because he's like referencing, and he's talking to Daniel, the German Ibanez rep in that video. And they're just like, they're talking like they've both been working at Ibanez since the 70s and how they just like, they know everything about every guitar and like, oh, this model's like that, like back in the day. And it's like, yeah, that's absolutely right. It's exactly like that model. It's definitely based off that. Blah 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 blah. And it's great. But the fact that he knows so much, and Jason, I haven't said this, and I'm gonna tell you, I think is amazing because there are so many guitar companies out there that I rarely find people that are as like knowledgeable about one brand as they could be. So I give you a lot of credit. Very good job. All right. We got more coming in here. Let's see who we got going on. Mick Dingus was not in Racer X back in the day. Neither was I. I don't know if you can tell by that little flub right there. I was not in Racer X, and nor will I ever be in Racer X. Apparently, AREN found him the same way that I did. We're watching HP at the original GC with him unboxing, naming off there. There we go. Was that Drop D tune I played on the PGM? Man, I'm gonna have to go back and listen after that because I was just noodling around. So there you go. That's one on the live stream. Copywritten, so don't copy me, as Missy Elliott once said. Dingus was a thrash metal guru in the 80s. All right, there's Brian. You're still here. Awesome. You ordered your rock board today. Awesome. What size did you get? Please let me know how you like it, because I like mine a lot. We got a question coming in from K-Dog. What did you think of the PRS SE custom line? Really an incredible story. It really is an incredible story. Is there a story to the SE custom line? I don't know, but I do have thoughts about the PRS SEs. I love the PRS SEs. I think they're fantastic guitars. It seems like everybody knows there's some sort of story going around. What am I missing? Let's see. Thank you, Ben. Thank you. It's that Nux Cerberus, man. It's good stuff. Oh, we're talking about Jason Becker. Oh, yeah, if that's who we're talking about. Yeah, Jason Becker. Oh my God. God, that guy. He should have been dead already. If we're listening to what all the medical experts say, Jason Becker should have been dead a long time ago, but he's still here and he's still composing. He did have some recent health scares though, so that's a little hard because as I know what his condition is, but I want that guy to stick around so much. I want him to be around for many more years just because I need something to stick it to people who think they know it all. I want somebody to just like fight through it, and it's because it's so inspirational, everything, like the challenges that he faces to this day, and him and his family just seem to they seem to rally around it, and they're just unbelievably cool, and I hope nothing but the best for him. So to Jason and his family, I'm gonna say some prayers for you guys tonight, and you know, that's all I can say. I'm gonna say some prayers for you guys because you guys do a lot of great stuff, and you, Jason, inspire so many people, including me. So thank you so much. I will definitely be. I encourage you guys, if you are a believer of any kind or just a spiritual person, say a prayer for them. I'm sure they would appreciate to know that you did. There we go. But yeah, K-Dog, I love the PRSSEs. Nothing wrong with them. Played a few at NAMM. Really liked them. But I got an eye on my Silver Sky. That's what I got my eye on. Eric struggles with 6 strings. Don't know what I would do with 7 or 8. Well, let me kind of tell you some of my challenges with the 7 string is obviously we have the wider neck. That's one thing. But for me also, like, I still haven't gotten it set up to this point where it's like 100% perfect. To the point where, like, you know, the action is a little higher than I would want it to be, especially on the higher strings, and even on the lower strings. I'm constantly trying heavier gauges of strings because my hand is, sometimes I can strum pretty hard. I've been trying to work on lightening up my touch a little bit so that I'm not constantly bending strings or knocking them out of tune. But I got no regrets about the Chapmans. They're fantastic guitars. They're, you know, neck access, boom, right up there. I might consider one day changing out the pickups. If somebody wants to send me some pickups, I'd be happy to give it a shot. But yeah, I'm great. It's great stuff. I love them. I've been eyeballing the hollow body given my employee discount. The modern or the traditional, because I've played both and I like both of them a lot. I actually have some videos from when I went to Guitar Center in Hollywood and there was an ML3 semi-hollow modern, and oh man, there you go. Let's see. Yeah, so the guitar can sound good. It's a little out of tune, so I'll have to work on that one a little bit. All right. Brian, you got the Trace. That'll be a good size. I should have probably gone for something a little smaller myself, but, you know, the guys at Framus and Warwick here in the States were very kind, and we made a nice little arrangement to get me a good amount of stuff to make a nice pedal board for them, and I got no complaints. That line is probably one of the most complete pedal board lines I've ever seen, from the power supplies, the cables, you name it, they got it, and it's all good stuff. I haven't had a problem with it at all. All right, what else we got going on? More questions from K-Dog. What about Ola Englund Solar guitars? Do I have one? I don't have one. I would be interested to try it. Jason, thank you so much for joining, my friend. I just caught your thing. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. I'll give you a call sometime, maybe next week. We'll chat a little bit and catch up and see how things are going. So you have yourself a good rest of your day. And thank you so much for joining in. Maybe join us again next time. So I've never played a Solar because they're just not available near me. And at the risk of sounding a little egotistical, And at the risk of sounding a little spoiled, I guess I could say, I'm really done buying guitars under a certain dollar amount. The last guitar I spent money on was actually this. I'm gonna pay. No, it was my bass 6. It was the Squier bass 6, and I didn't pay that much money for it. But right now, here in my studio, I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guitars over on the rack between Les Paul, my main Les Paul, and 2 other ones that I have. The 7-string, I got my Jennings Navigator over there, which will be eventually replaced with my custom one. I got my custom Ramos, I got an Epiphone Casino, my PGM, my bass 6. I got a nice Warwick bass now, and I got my Taylor acoustic. That's a lot of stuff, and I just don't. I want to check out as many guitars as I possibly can, and I want to do it because I want to do these demos for you guys. But I just can't spend that kind of money, and I really don't want to part with these guitars to, buy them and check them out. And I just don't want to get a credit card and, buy something on the credit card and return it on the credit card just for the sake of the content. I don't want to do stuff like that. If anybody associated with Solar happens upon this video, I'm happy to check out the guitars, and I'm happy to do videos, happy to do whatever I can. I just don't have the money to spend on gear right now. I really don't. As much as it seems like I always get new stuff in, all this new stuff comes in with the caveat of me, doing a video for it, and that's how I pay for it, and that's how companies and I work and exchange for me getting the gear. Like all the stuff that we looked at last year, last week, that is, all that is here because I'm doing videos for it. It's not anything else. I didn't pay for all that. I'm paying with my time and my effort and my work. So if anybody from Solar happens to catch this and thinks that it might be a good idea to get, some guy with looks like, you guys have been commenting and you guys have been watching, and the fact that some of you are watching at like midnight and where it's almost 1 o'clock on your end that you're watching means that some of you guys out here are pretty friggin' dedicated as followers and as fans, and again, thank you enough. So if anybody deserves to see a good demo of those guitars, it's guys like you. So thank you so much. I really appreciated that. So yeah, I'd love to check out their stuff. They look great. Okay, Eric is saying that the family does a group prayer around noon every single day, that those who want to join in. I'm not super religious, but I do join in. That's nice to know. It's very, very nice to know. All right. I'm losing myself right now. There we go. All right. Ben's not sure how many guitars he has. That's awesome. Aaron, you got me thinking of a Voyager, but it'd have to be after Novo, Maris, Friedman Vintage T, and a Fidelity Desert JB in the Chapman Traditional Semi. There you go. Ben, you haven't bought any new gear since you were in Cali? Are you sure about that? Eric, you're heading out. Man, thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate it. You stuck around for almost all of what I was planning to do tonight, and I really appreciate it. So you enjoy your good night's sleep. It's well-deserved, I'm sure. Looking forward to seeing some more stuff from you guys soon. Again, great job on the Gary Kramer stuff. Really been enjoying that. So you all have a good night. K-Dog, you're out too. Take care, buddy. Have a nice night. Really, really appreciate you guys sticking around. Awesome, man. Loving that you guys are starting to talk to each other and that you guys are getting into this little community. I'm appreciating that a lot. K-Dog, you got a 2000 Deluxe Player Strat, 2003 Alvarez Acoustic, and a 95 PV Foundation bass. I remember those Foundation basses. They're not too bad. Brian has just built 3 Strats this winter. Now I'm working on tellies. Awesome. Share some photos. Share some photos on Facebook or something like that. I think we're friends on Facebook. I'd like to see that. We got a question from Brian. Do you know anything about the Love Pedal Mark III Fuzz? I got one on sale last weekend. I don't, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know anything about that one, but I know plenty about Love Pedal. Their stuff is fantastic. There's lots of great stuff going on there. I would love to check some of it out, but again, it's a question of the availability and my affordability. Years ago, I did play an Echo Baby, though, and the Pickle Vibe. I liked those a lot. Ben is asking, am I gigging much these days? I'm not gigging that much these days, unfortunately. It's so hard to get good shows. You know, it's the classic line. But it is, you know, the venues just are not, treating bands well. And I just don't want to deal with that. I've had a lot of really bad things, and you know, if you guys want to hear some of those stories, I'll tell them sometime. So I don't have a problem throwing some people under the bus who deserve it. So there you go. I'm hoping that we can get some decent gigs in the near future, but we're all over the place. We got a couple songs that we want to release this year, so I'm gonna be here mixing those and getting those ready for distribution. And my drummer works at Disneyland. He plays in the Pixarmonic Orchestra at California Adventure. And our bassist is also a DJ, so he does a lot of electronic music and EDM kind of stuff. So he's been getting some pretty decent gigs through that, so he's been fairly busy with that, but we always end up coming together and sounding pretty good. So I look forward to us getting together again and jamming and hopefully doing some cool stuff. Might end up doing something along the lines of some streamed videos or stuff like that. That'd be kind of fun. Give me 1 second. All right, I just put in the comments our YouTube user handle, which is at Cockeyed Optimist TV. Give it a shot. Let me know what you guys think, and please throw a little subscription our way, so that we can get that number up and make that sweet YouTube money. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's really hard, but like Albus says, we could join forces and write we could join forces and write a book on shit promoters, venues, etc. We really could. And yeah, Jay, it's cool that I got to do Warped Tour. That was a big feather in the cap, and something that I will always I'll always appreciate. I'll never forget that, and it was a great experience. I'm glad we got it done. The day didn't turn out as great as I hoped it would, but it was still a great day nonetheless, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. There you go. Ah, sweet, Brian. Thank you. I will check those pictures out when we are done. Which we're closing in on the hour mark, and it's 10 p.m. here. It's for some of you, it's 1 a.m. So yeah, I think we'll go ahead and we accomplished everything that we wanted to accomplish tonight. We talked a little bit about T-Rex effects and what all is going on. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. We talked about T-Rex effects and how we learned that bankruptcy does not mean going out of business. It just means it's time to rethink your finances so that maybe we can get you healthy and get you making money again. T-Rex is going to be around, and so am I. Now, just to remind you guys, next week there won't be a live stream. I will be out of the house and won't be here, so we'll work something out, maybe another day of the week, and if we don't, maybe we'll do something else. I want to thank all of you guys that have stuck around for this whole thing, and there were quite a lot of you. Ben, Brian, Aaron, we got Jay, we had Bubba, we had McDingus, we had Eric from EVH and Gear TV, Jason McNamara, K-Dog. Oh my god, I'm gonna forget somebody if I don't scroll up through this whole thing. We had Janice knock in here for a little bit. I think I caught one comment from her. I think I found it. No, I didn't. I thought I saw Janice come in here for a little bit. But anyway, I'm just so happy that you guys are joining me for these things. They've been getting better and better, and hopefully we can make them better and better. And one of the ways we can do that is by bringing more people in. So if you have some friends that are into this kind of stuff, you want bring them into the fold, invite them to watch the next live show, and we'll show them a good time. And hopefully we can address something that we can all have fun with and we can really sink our teeth into and talk about. For now, I'm just gonna say thank you all so much. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for checking out the band, and thank you all so much for your kind comments. It makes this all worthwhile. Just as a reminder, if you haven't, and if you're watching for the first time, if you haven't already, please do click the subscribe button. I will also be throwing a link to the Patreon page here that I have set up. I would really appreciate if you guys would spread that around, and if you guys would consider becoming patrons. It'll just help me offset the cost of being, doing this kind of thing. And maybe, it'll let me get some merch going here. I'd like to get some pics made or something like that. But anyway, thank you all so much for spending your time with me here tonight. The fact that you want to have me as the way you end your day is a huge honor, and I greatly appreciate it. And for now, I'm just going to wish you all a very pleasant good night and great tone and happy stomping. Cheers, everybody. I'll see you next